So I have dozens and dozens of articles and videos where I encourage people to use the 24-hour rule to shop with a list and to do all these other things to avoid impulse buying. And I 1000% stand by that advice. But not everything's black or white, so there are times when an impulse purchase is absolutely worth it. For example, when you're looking for something very specific and then one day you stumble on it. And it can be anything from shoes to clothes to household items, and it doesn't have to be large or expensive. Even if it's the smallest, most novelty item, it'll be something very specific that you've been looking for but hadn't been able to find. This has happened to me so many times where I'm in the store looking for something completely different, and then I turn around and then an item that I've been on the hunt for months or even years, it's there staring back at me. This was the case recently with a magnet that I wanted for the dishwasher. I wanted one that had the words dirty and clean on opposite sides so that I could flip it around. And from the very beginning, I knew exactly what I was looking for. I wanted it to be black and white, I wanted it to be round, and I wanted it to have a very simple design. But every magnet that I saw online or at other stores was either the wrong color or the wrong size. So one day I'm at this kitchen store and I'm standing at the checkout counter, and I just happened to glance over to my right, and there it was, the exact magnet that I have been envisioning for months. And what's really ironic about this story is that it was actually in a section or a basket with other little impulse buys that people might grab at the last minute as they're checking out, but it was the right size and it was the right color. And no, I didn't go into that store that day with the intentions of buying it. But even though I am a big believer in not getting sidetracked and sticking to your list, I do feel that this was an acceptable exception because number one, I was also out of town when I saw it. So had I not bought it that day, who knows how long it would have been before I found another one that I liked. Another indicator that a purchase might be worth it is when you've been thinking about buying a certain item and then you see the price drop significantly. Most things eventually go on sale, so if you wait a few weeks or even a few months, you could possibly get a better deal. But sometimes these deals can come when you least expect them, and this is exactly what happened to me about a month ago. I decided back in March that it was time to get a new toaster oven, and this time I wanted one with an air fryer. So one day while I'm in Target looking for something else, I check out their selection and end up finding the one I want. It was priced at about $229, which wasn't bad. But since this was my first day out really checking out the selection, I didn't want to jump on it just yet. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna do some more comparison shopping. So fast forward about 2 weeks and I'm on Target's website looking for something else. And for whatever reason, I decided to check out their selection again. And I'm so glad I did, because that toaster oven that was $229 just 2 weeks ago was now marked down to $119. And again, I was on the site for something completely different. So I didn't go there with the intentions of making that purchase that day. But we're talking about a $109 discount on an item that I was already eyeing and that I was already planning to buy anyway. I would have been a fool to pass it up. Another sign that an impulse purchase might be worth it is when the item fills a gap in your life today. And the key word here is really today. Sometimes we stumble upon things unique and think to ourselves, I might be able to use this someday. However, someday doesn't always come, and then we end up with a bunch of little things that we never use. So if you come across an item that you didn't even know existed before that day, but you 1000% know that it will make sense in your life, and it's something that you will probably use on an almost daily basis, in that case, it's probably worth the buy. Now with these items, you can also use the 24-hour rule, especially if they aren't in short supply, meaning you can come back tomorrow or even next week and most likely it'll still be there. But sometimes that can be risky, and I made that mistake one time with an item that I saw at TJ Maxx. Years ago, I found this toiletry bag that I absolutely loved. It matched my suitcase, the slots were perfect, and it had just the right amount of compartments. But I didn't buy the bag that day because, again, I went into the store looking for something completely different. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take my own advice. I didn't come into this store looking for a toiletry bag, and I'm not going to leave out with one. But there was only one bag on the day that I was there. So in my case, that was a mistake, because a couple of days later, I did go back to get it, but I was too late and it was gone. And even though I eventually found a toiletry bag that I liked, the other one would have worked out so much better. And if I had been just a little bit more flexible, I would have had that bag today. Which leads into the fourth indicator, which is when you regretted not buying an item in the past and you now have the opportunity again. Even though I have a toiletry bag that works, If I were to stumble on that original bag again, I would snatch it up in a heartbeat. Likewise, if you've had some missed opportunities in the past where you regretted not buying something and now you have the opportunity to buy it again, it might be worth the splurge. Because if a lot of time has gone by and it's been weeks, months, or even years and you're still thinking about that item, it's not a fleeting desire. There's a reason why that item is still in your mind. And when it's all said and done, we work hard, so there's nothing wrong with treating yourself. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be thoughtful when it comes to your purchases. The purpose of this video is not to excuse or justify poor spending. It's to be realistic and acknowledge that not everything's black or white and it's okay to be flexible. So with all that being said, impulse purchases only make sense when you can actually afford the item that you're buying. And for anyone who doesn't know, to afford means that you're able to get something without negative consequences. So it doesn't matter if you're able to get a toaster oven or some other item for $100 off. If it's going to have a domino effect that complicates your finances, it's not worth it.